Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another session with Accent Reality, powered by Accent Radio. I am your host Adela, and it's good to have everyone back. If you are a new follower or a new viewer, welcome. And if you are a subsequent viewer and follower, also welcome. So we have an insight in an interesting topic today, where we'll be talking about the relevant documents in real estate transactions. So your documents are basically your shield and your sword when it comes to real estate transactions, when it comes to buying, acquiring and selling properties. So it's important for you to have a knowledge of what these documents are and their uses, their importance, so that you are able to avoid legal issues or having issues that might require you going up and down, and then making sure you make this good decisions when acquiring your property. So today, those are the documents. We're going to list out some of the relevant documents that you should look out for as a potential homeowner or property owner. So as about to start, I hope we're all ready to learn something new, and then also to, if you something you already know, this is another opportunity for you to be reminded of this important document. So now let's go straight into the video, and the first document that we'll be talking about is your receipt. Land receipt is a receipt is a general thing that we all have in real estate transactions too. There is also something as land receipts, and this is the receipt this receipt too is important, but there are instances where, if in your documents, like your deed of assignment, there is already a clause that states that the seller acknowledges receipt. Where there is that clause, then land receipt is not can be exempted. But where there isn't that clause, it is important. Where there is no deed of assignment or any agreement, then it is important for you to have your land boundaries, and basically almost like a pictorial for a registered surveyor to take the measurements and coordinates of that property, and then see that is about 100 million, but you are unable to provide that sum at that particular time. So you have an agreement between you and the seller that you would pay installmental payments, and say you want to pay 10 million initial payment or 20 million initial payments where you pay the final deposit sum, and the land you can then be transferred to you. So where there is an agreement like that, it is at that moment that a contract of sale comes into play, because a contract of sale spells that out for both you and the buyer, and you are bound by. So that is what a contract of sale is. The next document we'll be talking about is a deed of assignment. The deed of assignment is the instrument that transfers an interest from a purchase price, and that now you from a seller to the buyer. In this instance, you become the assignor. That is you selling the land, and the buyer. So that is a deed of assignment, and your deed of assignment must be registered. It must be registered. Unlike the contract of sale that doesn't need to be registered, your deed of assignment has to be registered for it to be is your certificate government gives to a person, indicating that the person owns that particular land. And this is done for people who have acquired land since the introduction of the Land Use Act in 1979. So when you have a C of O is the government's document showing or proving that this person has or is the owner of a particular land. But we have to understand that the Land Use Act states that the government is the original owner of all land, and they hold it in trust for us, we citizens of the country. So where a CFO, where a government gives you a CFO, it's giving you a term of year, which is usually 99 years, for you to hold that property as the owner of that property. And it's important for you to know that the government can also revoke a CFO. So even if they've given you a term of 99 years to have ownership of that property, the government still has the right to also revoke that term of years. But when that situation occurs, the government has to, that's either be for a public use, where the government needs that property for public use, and the government has to also let you know. And not only that, the government would also compensate you for revoking your CFO. But that is like an entirely different topic, which we'll get to talk about in subsequent times. So that is that for CFO. Then we have a deed of mortgage. A deed of mortgage is a document given to a mortgagee, in the sense, okay, let me just make it simple. So we know mortgage is where a borrower takes a loan from the lender, and the lender gives that loan, but the borrower has to give something as security to the lender. So in that instance now, it means that I've given you this money, but you have to give me something as security. So in most instances, people use their landed property as security. So where that occurs, there is a deed of mortgage. So a deed of mortgage is a transfer is a document that transfers interest in that property to you, who I'm borrowing from, prior to then, depending on how long it is that I have to pay that loan. So what it means is that where you borrow money from a person and you use your land property as a collateral, you give a deed of mortgage, which is a deed of transfer to that, which is the transfer to that person that you are borrowing from, till you are able to pay the principal sum and the interest that you have borrowed from that person. And like I said, it's not a permanent transfer. It's just till you're able to pay your loan back as well as the interest. So that is a deed of mortgage. Then we have a power of attorney. A power of attorney is a document that authorizes a person to act on behalf of another person. So where you have a principal, and then he gives he a donor or a donee. That's what is usually called in power of attorney. So where I give you power to act on my behalf, to probably sell a land, to collect rent, or to just do anything legal that I can do in regards to that property. That means I've given you a power to act on my behalf, and the document that transfers that power is a power of attorney. And the power of attorney is in two forms. There is the general power of attorney, and there is the irrevocable power of attorney, which we've spoken about in our subsequent videos. If you want to learn more about that, you can go back to our page and just check for videos on that. So now the next document is the grant of probate, where a person who is deceased, who has passed on, died with a will. That's will, and in that will he has beneficiaries. Those are people that are benefiting from his will. He will also have executors as well as trustees in that will. So the document that transfers the authority or gives the trustees or executors power to act on those property which the deceased left is the grant of probate, which is gotten from the probate registry. This document gives the executors or the beneficiaries executors or the trustees the power to act on that property on behalf of the beneficiaries, now pending the time when the property is then vested in on the beneficiaries, which also brings us to a assent, which is the next document, a deed of assent. So a deed of assent is a document that transfers the interest to the beneficiary. I already mentioned executors and trustees having power to act on behalf of the beneficiaries, and that document that gives them that power is a grant of probate. But now, where the property is to be moved to the beneficiaries, the people that the property were originally willed to, is a deed of assent. And a deed of assent also is gotten from a probate registry, and as well as a grant of a probate, it is also a registered document. So these are the documents so far that you need to know when dealing with real estate transactions, because once or twice definitely they will pop up when discussing real estate transactions, or when you plan on selling or buying property. So I hope we've all been able to learn something new today, and hope to see you all next week, same time and same place. Have a lovely day, everyone.